I'm going to tell you 3 unique content formulas and how to use them so you can explode your growth on Instagram. Welcome back to my channel. I help people create better Instagram content so they can build an engaged community and turn their knowledge into income. Today I'm going to give you my top 3 unique content formulas to help you build your influence and also kickstart explosive growth. Let's get straight into it. The storytelling itself can be broken down into many ways, but I like to break it down for Instagram content into 3 distinct areas, which is the conflict, the story, and the key takeaway. So the conflict would include all of the context on what the problem or the thing is that you're talking about in this particular piece of content. And within this conflict, you're going to start detailing, who's involved, who it's for, and a bit more of an idea on what the problem actually is. Then within the story section of your content, you've really started to dive into the detail of the steps taken to overcome the problem, and you end up with the climax of that problem and the resolution that took place. And finally, you have the key takeaway of that entire story, which is going to be on maybe your 8th or your 9th slide of a carousel or at the last point of your caption. And it's going to be a very clear, very direct message, could be a quote that's telling people directly what the key message is that you're trying to give them from the story you've just told. So here's a few top tips. A good story doesn't just focus on the details of the story, it really focuses on the feelings, the emotions, and the transformation that story gives the reader. You also want to make sure that to really get across this transformation, you're using illustrations and you're using quotes, because these are 2 things that are, universally, people can really understand a lot more. Because you will struggle, particularly with language, that some things are lost in translation and you can't get your message across. So using illustrations, using well-known quotes are a very good way to emphasize the point you're trying to make. And the final tip is to make sure that you have a good melody to your story. Now think about music, and you can actually start to predict with certain types of music how the beat's going to play out. You want to try and do the same with your story. Make sure it follows a familiar structure, because this way people know what to expect. They know and they understand the build-up, they know when the climax is going to come, and they know when that key takeaway is going to be given. This way, the familiarity is what helps people to engage. And when people can engage easily, it means you're going to get more engagement, and ultimately that's going to help you get more growth as people engage more often. Now, one of my favourite formulas to use for my content is what I like to call the reverse AIDA. Now, AIDA is one of the key copywriting formulas that we use to create content on Instagram and all social media and marketing platforms. AIDA is attention, interest, desire, and action. And if you watch this video here, I go into much more detail on the AIDA formula and how to use it. But this formula that I'm talking about is the reverse of AIDA. It's reversing how that formula is actually used in the first place. And it's based on how film director Quentin Tarantino directs his films. He'll have an introduction and immediately he will take you to the climax of the film. He will show you a teaser of the ending, and then it switches and it comes right back to the beginning, and then the entire film is then building context and building up to that climax again. So we can use this for our content, and whether it's in your carousel or whether it's in your caption, start off with a very clear question or a very direct headline. Okay, straight away on your second slide or on your second sentence of your caption, give people a very shocking or a very unconventional answer to that question. If the answer to the question is too normal, if it's what people expect, then this doesn't work. It needs to be a shock, because then people are much more likely to want to swipe through, to want to read the rest of your content, the rest of your caption, to find out why you have this particular answer to this particular problem. Then what you're going to do is start building the context around that answer. Start giving people a bit more information on the problem. And then at the end, ultimately what you're going to do is have a very clear key takeaway on your point of view. So you have your answer at the start, you build your context on it, and then you finish with a very direct takeaway, again in the form of an illustration or maybe a quote, to really drive home your message. So the third form of content you want to use is something savable. So this can be a step-by-step piece of content, or it can be like a how-to or a tutorial piece of content. Now, apparently, and this is what the rumor is, that Instagram has changed the algorithm to focus on saves and pushing content more that gets more saves. Now, there's no way we can confirm or even deny it, but the fact is, if there even is the slightest possibility that that's what they've done, then we should take that opportunity to create content that is more savable. And the type of content that is savable is actionable content, content that people can use and come back to fix a problem that they have. But the reality is that it doesn't matter about the algorithm. The reason savable content works is because it actually helps people. It actually gives people an answer to their problem. And when you can give people these very small wins of overcoming a problem they have, we can do that consistently. That's what helps to turn strangers into followers. Ultimately, what helps to turn followers into fans, fans into clients. So savable content, regardless of the algorithm, will always work. So you should be using it as much as you can anyway. But here's how you actually create savable content. First, on your cover slide or on the first line of your caption, have a very, very clear title, which is something along the lines of how to solve this problem, or a step-by-step guide to solve this problem. Make it very, very clear so people know exactly what problem you're going to solve, making them much more likely, if they're interested, to read it and read the entire thing. After your cover slide, after your first line in the caption, make sure you introduce, not massively, but just introduce the context of the problem, why it matters, why it needs to be fixed. Then after that, start giving the very actionable step-by-step process that the reader can follow to fix the problem. Make sure you're using illustrations, using images, screenshots and videos where appropriate to make sure you can actually show people exactly how to do what it is you're telling people to do. And then at the end, have a very clear call to action to get people engaging with that piece of content, because as long as you make it as actionable as you can, people are going to save it. So you don't have to ask them to save it. But a little top tip, and you're going to want to, after I said this sentence, to rewind and listen to it again, because it is really important. So you either offer a general solution to a unique problem, or you offer a unique solution to a general problem. If you're giving savable content on general problems with general solutions, it's not going to work. There has to be something unique to get the best impact from it, because once you do that, believe me, it's those types of content that can go viral. And if you end up going viral with that savable piece of content, the conversion rate to followers is extremely high. This is one of the best ways to grow your page and grow it very, very fast. Now, something I want to make you aware of is that if you only use one of these formulas, or if you only use one content formula entirely, you can struggle to grow. Because the reality is that, yes, your audience will remain the same, but what remains the same is the outcome your audience wants. But every day, the way they want to consume content changes. So if one day your audience wakes up and they want something motivational, yet you just keep giving them the same savable content, they're not going to resonate with it. So they might not engage with it that day, and it can end up, they don't see your content anymore because they're not engaging with it. You have to make sure that you're always changing the way you deliver your content. So use the savable content, use a storytelling format, use the reverse AIDA, use the traditional AIDA formula. Mix up the way you're delivering your content so you keep people interested and you give them the variety of messaging that they need to get the most impact from your page. And believe me, that way you're going to reach a much wider audience, which in itself will help you to grow much faster. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you want to learn more about my strategy from 0 to 100,000 followers, check out this video. And if you want to learn more about the AIDA formula, how to use it effectively, check out this video. But other than that, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.